It's so close, just a few more weeks and 2016 will be over. One little Christmas and then a celebrity massacring, status quo upending, Harambe murdering year will be behind us. Regardless of your politics, 2016 has objectively been a slow-motion dick punch of a year. With the loss of Alan Rickman, Prince and David Bowie, the world is 65% less sexy than it used to be. And in the wrestling world, we've lost Chyna, Balls Mahoney, Axel Rotten, Blackjack Mulligan, Mr. Fuji, Chris Travers, to name but a few. However, compared to 2015, WWE itself has fared slightly better, with none of its top stars getting caught on tape saying racist things or having pictures of their dick leaked online. But whether it's been duff storylines or PR blunders, it's been far from a perfect year for sweaty Vincent's muscle contingent. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 things WWE want you to forget about 2016. Number 10, Charles Robinson gets overexcited. Unless something truly wonder stupid happens at TLC or Roadblock, this will go down as the worst finish of the year by a country mile. Rewind the clocks to Payback, and Charlotte faced Natalya in a match with a special stipulation being the presence of two old dudes dearly missing their bedtime. Wait a minute, one of those dudes is Bret Hart? That can only mean one thing: time to ring the hack retread of the Montreal Screwjob alarm. Yes, once again, just because he was there, the company said, "Hey Bret, remember that time we lied to you after 13 years of service and killed your passion for the wrestling business? Rafflecopter." Charlotte knocked Natty in a sharpshooter, and before she could submit, Charles Robinson rang the bell. "Oh Charlie, you little tinker, what are you like?" Well, still harbouring a raging lob-on for Ric Flair after all these years, apparently. Number 9, the old day. WWE have aired a lot of bad segments this year, just off the top of my head. The Make Darren Young Great Again skits were masterpieces of awkward old men shouting. Kalisto managed to encapsulate an entire culture of wrestling as lucha things and then ran away. And I straight up don't know what they did to poor Kurt Hawkins, but it's a shame. The worst of the bunch, though, has to be the old day. What happened when Anderson and Gallows brought out 3 old dudes pretending to be the New Day, and then what happened next aged the audience by about 60 years. If you show that segment to a toddler, it would shake its head, whisper, "I'm so tired," and light up a Marlboro Red. It made the champs look bad, and it further cemented how atrociously WWE has handled the club, one of the hottest tag teams in New Japan in 2015. Do you remember? Number 8, the Ambrose Asylum match. For Chris Jericho, 2016 has been the year of tat, where he slowly and systematically got over his gimmicks, just a bunch of stuff he had lying around his house. He's feuded over a jacket, a scarf, a houseplant, a clipboard. Next year he'll get over a stapler, an iPad and a lawn chair, because he can. Considering that junk preoccupied him this year, it made sense to put him in a match with fellow prop comic Dean Hot Dog Car Ambrose in the Ambrose Asylum match, aka a cage match with bric-a-brac. It could have been good, and it's not often you see a thumbtack spot, so fair play to that, but it was a fairly terrible, sluggish affair, with the crowd audibly bored throughout. It's one of the biggest in-ring disappointments of the year, and yeah, don't expect to see a sequel. Number 7, letting Cody Rhodes escape. How often can you tell your boss, "Yeah, well, I don't need this job," and actually mean it? God knows I can't. Please never stop watching these videos. Well, Cody Rhodes did exactly that, requesting his release back in May before going on to have the run of his career. Now, we're not just saying this because he's currently our internet champion. Honest, after finally ditching the Stardust gimmick that he hated, Cody's seen his value skyrocket, wrestling a series of matches against Kurt Angle, wrestling in Evolve, TNA, Ring of Honor. He's got dates with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not only has he shown to a generation of talent that you don't have to be shackled to the WWE machine to get ahead, but he's also been fairly outspoken against the company in his absence, revealing his reasons for quitting in an open letter. After Rhodes left, Ryback walked away, as did Alberto Del Rio, further proof that WWE isn't the be-all and end-all for wrestlers, a lesson WWE is anxious for their stars to forget. Number 6, Titus grabs Vince. Well, now this is really weird. In February, Daniel Bryan officially retired, what will almost definitely be the company's promo of the year. However, as a bizarre little coda to that story, shortly following that Raw, the news broke that Titus O'Neil had been suspended for 60 days. Why? Well, shortly after the cameras went off the air for that Raw, Vince made to leave the ramp when Titus O'Neil grabbed his arm. Vince responded by shoving Titus hard. Fan footage showed that the two men might have been smiling. Then apparently Titus was being chivalrous, telling Vince to let Stephanie go first, or it could have been horseplay getting out of hand. But then it was announced that Titus had been suspended for 90 days and that Jamie Noble and Triple H had to talk Vince out of firing him. And what? It was a big PR blunder for WWE, decried as a drastic overreaction to shelf Titus from WrestleMania and deny the Fire of the Year a big payday. Thankfully, he and the company were able to kiss and make up. Much like Titus kisses his son. Oh, I swore I wasn't going to mention it! Number 5, fans wreck the first ever Universal title match. Jam belt, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when the fans all boo? SummerSlam saw the first ever Universal Championship match contested between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, and the match was really good. Not that you'd know it from the way the fans took a loud theatrical dump on it. Why? I'll tell you why, shut up. The Universal title had just been unveiled and the reaction was, well, something like this.
you serious?
The crowd chanted, "Your belt sucks. Hey, we want a new belt," and many more available from Columbia Records. Mick Foley and Seth Rollins both tweeted about how the fans' reaction to the belt ruined SummerSlam for them, but fans couldn't hear them over the sound of their own laughter at how that belt was. Number 4, the Cruiserweights mishandled. The Cruiserweight Classic was one of the best things WWE produced in the entirety of 2016. It introduced even the knowest of the in the know to a generation of exciting new talent, told some great stories, and showcased a handful of matches that could be considered Match of the Year candidates. Then they moved the Cruiserweights to Raw, and whoops, I dropped it and now it's broken. It's like your mum making you share your 3DS with the kid at your school who wipes his ass with his hand. You just can't. Oh, stop, what are you doing to it? The sudden influx of new faces, it just didn't work with a sudden jump from the intimate Full Sail setting to a giant arena. And though 205 Live could address the storytelling issues, because Raw isn't really telling any of their stories, it's still problematic because it's going to be filmed after SmackDown finishes, when the crowd's as tired as they possibly can be. Number 3, the Shane Taker storyline was a hot mess. Trying to work out what the hell happened in the Shane Undertaker storyline going into WrestleMania is like trying to solve a puzzle with your elbows. It could be done and the pieces are all there, but it's much more arduous and complicated than it needs to be. Shane turned up, wanted to run Raw because dance, look at my trainers, etc. Vince said no. Shane said lockbox. Vince said okay, but you have to beat The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. That all happened in the space of about 20 minutes. Yowza. But why? Why is Taker fighting for Vince? Said the crowd. Taker showed up and said, "I'm going to punch Shane in the dick," and then left to water his plants, and everyone went, "What? Wait, come back and explain things." Then Shane lost and started running Raw anyway. That's really weird. It was a bit like stapling 5 different newspapers together and calling it a book, and considering that Shane is still an important authority figure to this day, I'm guessing WWE want you to forget the sloppy storytelling that got him here. Number 2, a spree of suspensions. If 2015 was the year of injuries, and 2016 was the year of suspensions, and also injuries. In the space of about 2 months, WWE suspended 4 stars for violating their wellness policy. Each and every one of them claimed they were taking substances legally prescribed by doctors, and that the only thing they did wrong was accidentally misfiling paperwork or not jumping through all the admin loopholes, which is as un-rock and roll as you can get. Those 4 were Roman Reigns, Paige, Alberto Del Rio, Eva Marie. The same thing happened to Adam Rose earlier in the year, busted because of a technicality rather than actual misdoing. Sure, procedure's important, but there's a huge stigma that comes with violating the wellness policy. I mean, I knew that Roman Reigns had been done for a prescription drug rather than anything illegal, and I still misremembered it as roids a few months later on a podcast. These infractions highlight a huge malfunction in WWE's wellness policy. And number 1, the main event of WrestleMania sucked. Even if nothing else on a WrestleMania card works, the main event has to. It's the final scene of a season finale of WWE's year. It should be the match soaked in the hype of months of anticipation. Batista versus Triple H, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, Hogan versus Andre. With the right main event, a lackluster show becomes a classic. At WrestleMania 32, an okay show got flushed down the pan with a main event dud that 90% of fans knew was coming. After numerous attempts at telling Vince, "Sorry, but we're just not into that big dog you keep bringing to shows," after every possible alternative match was shot down, Roman Reigns versus Triple H happened, and it was so boring. I was there live, and even with the hype of live attendance, it was so boring. Mania 32 broke a number of records for WWE. They'd prefer you to focus on that, not the fact they had to mute the crowd for the main event of bloody WrestleMania. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.